Can a serpent be responsible for the creation of life? Well, cultures worldwide have different beliefs and myths about this topic that emerged from the grounded elements of their native regions. And for the serpent, the Aztecs and Mayans were some of the civilizations that flourished in pre-Columbian Central America, who believed Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, the god of wind and rain, was the creator of the universe. Hi, and welcome back to our channel, where today we're going to be talking about Quetzalcoatl, the Aztecs' feathered serpent god, controller of winds and bringer of maize, a clever shapeshifter who used his wits to trick the Lord and Lady of Death into giving him the bones that he shaped into mankind. But before we begin, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button to support the creation of this channel. Now, without wasting another moment, let's get right to it. So, according to Mesoamerican beliefs, Quetzalcoatl was one of the most powerful and multifaceted deities. From the period of Teotihuacan through the fall of the Aztec capital of Tenochtitlan in 1521, the cult of Quetzalcoatl, the Quetzal feathered snake, was prevalent in central Mexico. The name Quetzalcoatl combines the Nahuatl or Aztec terms Quetzal, which refers to a native bird that has an eye-catching scarlet breast, an emerald green body, and a unique voice, and Quet, which means snake. It is believed that the serpent may be based on a historical person. According to a narrative, Tepiltzin Quetzalcoatl, a famous hero, built the Toltec civilization, which ruled central Mexico from around 900 to 1150 AD. He reportedly resided in Tula for a period before leaving due to a disagreement with the warrior class over the practice of human sacrifice, according to Toltec and Maya sources. He then moved to Chichen Itza after traveling east, and this gives us a reason to believe that there is undoubtedly a connection between this warrior and the god Quetzalcoatl. It's also possible that Quetzalcoatl, the god, was defied from the real Tepiltzin Quetzalcoatl, or that he took on the role of an existing deity. Besides creating humans, Quetzalcoatl also protected and helped them. The serpent god was revered as the patron deity of scholars, scientists, farmers, artisans, and merchants, as well as the patron deity of the arts and crafts. Additionally, he created the calendar and was known as the morning star Venus, the rising morning star. According to certain urban legends, he was responsible for bringing the planting of maize or corn, Mexico's primary crop. He accomplished this by posing as a black ant and robbing the red ants of their priceless grain. Quetzalcoatl was also worshipped by the Mayans, at least according to their account of him. The way that the feathered serpent was represented was one of the main contrasts between Aztec and Mayan religions. His distinguishing characteristics, hat, jewels, and mask, were all shown in a more extensive manner in Mayan culture. The snake was also given a dual meaning by them, as they saw it as a symbol of both the universe's vitality and the power to communicate with the dead. In addition to being the patron of many various aspects of life, they saw him as the creator, and ritual sacrifices were offered in order to appease him and the other gods. People were chosen and willingly offered to be sacrificed in order to obtain favor for both their people and themselves in the afterlife. As the Aztecs were aware that the ceremony was frightening to outsiders, they also chose prisoners of war for sacrifice. The victims' close ties to the gods were further reinforced by extravagant godlike garments worn on important occasions. After that, a priest would cut out the victim's heart with an obsidian blade, a razor-sharp piece of volcanic glass, and let the victim's blood flow down the temple stairs. The flesh itself was sometimes offered, allowing believers to consume an incarnation of God, while other times the blood was utilized to make bread that was eaten at the feast. But who were the creators of the creator god? Well, the answer isn't so concrete. Some identify Quetzalcoatl as the son of Ometacutli and Omecoatl. Some describe him as the son of the creator gods Tonacatutli and Tonacacihuatl, while others describe him as the hunter deity Mixcoatl, the son of the goddess Chimalma. In the myth of mankind's creation, Quetzalcoatl enters Mictlan, the underworld, where he is tasked with removing certain bones. The reigning gods of the underworld, Mictlantecuhtli and Mictlantecuhtli, however, only agree to part with the bones if he can blow a conch shell horn without any holes in it. By having worms chew holes in the conch and placing bees inside to produce music, the cunning serpent god wins over the issue. Additionally, he poses as leaving the underworld without the bones, saying he would leave them there, but in reality, he steals them from Mictlantecuhtli. This angered the underworld god, who then created a pit to trap him. Quetzalcoatl fell into the hole, scattered the stolen bones, and mixing the male and female parts. The bones are gathered by him as he makes his way out of the hole, and he takes them to the great snake goddess, Quetzalcoatl, as she may miraculously transform them into humans by combining the bones with maize and part of his blood. He is also frequently portrayed as the priest king of Tula, the Toltec nation's capital, in a significant collection of tales. Only snakes, birds, and butterflies were ever given as victims instead of people. However, Tezcatlipoca, the deity of the night sky, drove him out of Tula by engaging in dark magic tricks. Following this, Quetzalcoatl self-immolated on a pyre, after wandering down to the Atlantic Ocean's coast in search of the divine water and emerged as the planet Venus. He boarded a raft made of snakes, according to another tale, and vanished beyond the eastern horizon. Moving on to his significance, he had a great place in the pantheon of Aztec gods. According to their mythology, the gods regularly destroyed the world and restored it. The earth was on its fifth sun after having been destroyed 4 times, with a new sun being given to each era of the universe. These planet annihilations occasionally resulted from Quetzalcoatl's disputes with his brother Tezcatlipoca. After the first sun, Tezcatlipoca ordered his jaguars to kill everyone since Quetzalcoatl had assaulted his brother with a stone club. After the second sun, Tezcatlipoca changed everyone into monkeys. This dissatisfied Quetzalcoatl, who sent a cyclone to sweep the monkeys away. It is also believed that when Quetzalcoatl was unwell, and in order to get rid of him, his brother devised a cunning plot. Since drinking was against the law, Tezcatlipoca pretended to be a healer and provided Quetzalcoatl alcohol disguised as medicine. Having consumed it, he became inebriated and had an affair with his sister, Quetzalcoatl. Following this, he fled Tula in humiliation and traveled to the east, finally arriving at the Gulf Coast. In a different story of creation, Quetzalcoatl and Tezcatlipoca worked together more harmoniously to create the sun, the first man and woman, fire, and the rain gods. When a couple of gods changed into enormous snakes and split the female reptile monster known as Tlalcutli in half, one piece became the earth and the other the sky. The deceased creature's skin and hair gave rise to trees, plants, and flowers, while her eyes, nose, and mouth produced springs, caverns, valleys, and mountains. One of the most repulsive practices of ancient Mesoamerican culture, the ritual of human sacrifice, was justified in some versions of the story because Quetzalcoatl's divine spirit was understandably upset about losing her physical body in such a brutal attack, and the only way to appease her was through the sacrifice of blood and hearts. And now we have another interesting crossover with the mention of Jesus. That's right, the Mormons consider him to be Jesus. Well, not all of them, but some do. The Church of Latter-day Saints, most often referred to as the Mormons, holds that following his resurrection, Jesus Christ traveled the world preaching Christianity. Some Mormons think that Quetzalcoatl had a white complexion because he was related to the East. In the Mesoamerican pantheon, Quetzalcoatl stands out as being somewhat less ferocious than the other deities, like Huitzilopochtli or Tezcatlipoca, making him viable a candidate as any for Jesus traveling to the New World. The role of Quetzalcoatl in Aztec cosmology was intricate and multidimensional. The modern age was ultimately dominated by his brother Tezcatlipoca, despite the fact that he created humanity and gave them their staple crops. Like many of his contemporaries, Quetzalcoatl's position has evolved through time to better suit the sensitivities of Spanish authors who were attempting to understand an altogether different way of thinking. Although Quetzalcoatl was occasionally represented as a trickster god, his schemes were always for the good of humanity, even when they did not always turn out as he had hoped. And this concludes our video. If you enjoyed watching it, like, subscribe, and leave a comment below with your thoughts on this mythical story. We'll see you next time with another intriguing one. Until then, goodbye.